The mindset this time of year always is we're looking at our results, right? And how we think we're going to end the year. We're looking at budgets for next year. And when we're in economic cycles like we're in right now, there can be a mindset of planning with a bit of fear involved. And while it's realistic, right, what's happening outside of our doors is affecting us probably more at a global risk level than we've ever experienced before. Our strongest clients and the way they're thinking is really short-term pain, long-term pride, right? That long-term view. And you have to balance that because there's always going to be short-term things that you have to deal with, right? The true budgetary issues, but you need to be thinking about long-term because things like employee development, getting your leaders where you need them to be is not something all of a sudden when we need it next year, we can just make it happen. These are longer-term investments that we need to do to make sure 3 to 5 years from now, we're healthy and we have what we need in the business at that point. So look at this employee development type work as things that we need to invest in continuously, and we just need to adjust what that looks like, what we can afford this year. So it's really adjusting your budget, not stripping things like that out of your budget is what we really recommend to make sure you have that long-term focus. Otherwise, our competitors, if they're doing it, their people are going to be keeping up with what's the latest and greatest. What are those new things and skills, whether that's technology, whether it's productivity tools, whatever that is. And so when you think about investment in your people, it's not just these huge expensive programs. It can be simple things like mentoring programs. We're seeing a ton of mentoring programs being started in companies because it's allowing leaders who are a little further along to mentor leaders who are earlier in their career and vice versa, right? That mentoring goes both ways. We're seeing a lot more high potential leadership programs, and you can do those things simply. They also really help when you have a partner, something like what Keystone does, to come in and just add content to what you already have, right, in that program. And so those high potential leadership programs are really important as well. Making sure your people have development plans, because we want to make sure we're creating that environment and that mentality of constant learners to make sure we can keep up with the global risks and the changing of the environment. So there's a lot of different things you can do inside of the company, and there's a lot of partners also that can help you with those things, but most of them can be pared down in a tough economic climate, but not gotten rid of altogether. And I think that's the balance. It's just paring things down and not just slicing them completely from the budget for next year. A couple of recent statistics that I think are important in this discussion. One is that 94% of employees say that they would stay with their company if they invested in them. And this is from LinkedIn Learning doing a survey recently. So I think that's a pretty staggering number that people are wanting investment in their own growth, and that growth therefore benefits the company. Indeed reports that the actual cost of hiring a new employee is anywhere between $4,000 and $20,000. So as we think about the investment in our employees, hiring them is much more expensive than investing in them. Because with a few $1,000s for an employee, the amount of engagement and growth that we can get in them is much, much greater. So it's really flipping our mindset to say, we're gonna spend the money either way. We're either gonna spend the money trying to retain, right, increasing salaries or giving extra benefits, or hiring new people. And instead, what if we just invested in the people that we already had to make them the future of what we're going to need to stay competitive in our industry?